Yo, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Storytime with D-Rad. This is a little series I'm going to be doing to break down a few of the tracks of Goodiebag the mixtape, which I have in my little hand right now. There we go. There's CDs for sale, by the way, on my website, dradmc-endgameproductions.com. Go to the store tab, buy yourself a CD, buy yourself a t-shirt. So today I'm going to be breaking down my track Mayo 9, which is track number 6 on the project. This was produced by Dan the Underdog. He made the beat for me and mixed and mastered it and everything. For anyone that hasn't seen, this is the artwork by Ruth Evans, photography by RAD. So what I'm going to do today is break down Mayo 9. I'm going to play the track. Believe it's right here. Maybe it's a bit loud. I'm going to play the track. I'm going to kind of break it down as I go through it. But basically this song is about... I used to live in the Upper Florentine in Tasmania, blockading forests. I was doing that from like 2008 to around about the end of 2012. So a lot of that time I was living in trees. Tree sitting, which is basically like a protest technique used by people to put their lives on the line when the police want to come in and the contractors want to come in and clear an area of like old growth forests. The dudes in tree sits are the ones sitting there basically putting themselves in the way. May 2009 was the second major bust that I'd lived through in the Florentine, Upper Florentine. The first bust was January 2009, just a few months prior. And I was in a tree sit for that bust. In the back tree sit at the end of the road, kind of in the Upper Florentine. Kind of still in the forest, so I was actually in a position where they went around us. There was a lungs of the land tree sit and my tree sit here, and that was the proposed route for the road. But because we were there, they actually just cowboyed it and bulldozed around us for like 2 weeks. So they basically were pushing a road through the rainforest right in front of us for 2 weeks straight. Which is a pretty traumatic experience. Something that I still kind of grapple with to this day. But anyway, like after that, after January 2009, I kind of got out of the bush for a while. I went down south. I was picking apples and doing some other stuff. And then we kind of got a call to let us know that the cops were going to come back to bust again in May. And so I headed back, and I was actually kind of fucked. Like, I wasn't really up for it, to be honest. But I was in a meeting of some of the climbers, and no one else wanted to do it. Everyone knew it was going to be traumatic, and no one wanted to do it. So I did it. I climbed that tree that night, and we waited for bust, basically. And when they came in that next day, they started logging a coop basically directly opposite where I was in my tree. So I'm in this tree called Lungs of the Land, and there's a road here that they've already pushed through in January, and then there's the area they're logging just over here basically. So I'm watching them log forests for a couple of days. There's other tree sits further ahead with other people in trees, which they like the search and rescue cops are working on dealing with. But for now, I'm just sitting there watching them log the forest. And then I think it was around about day 2 of that bust that the police started trying to negotiate with me. They didn't really want to have to climb my tree and try to get me down. So they actually sent me, on the day that they climbed for me, they sent me a walkie-talkie in the morning. And they wanted to like try to basically trick me into getting out of the tree so they didn't have to fuck around. And so, you know, I took them at their word, and I thought that, yeah, I'll negotiate with you. Let's do it. And I tried to negotiate for guarantee, basically, that they'll protect this sort of little area that I was in, that was not going to get logged. I basically wanted to see if they were really about what they were about. And they kind of laughed at me. They were like, "No, we're not really negotiating with you. We're just trying to trick you." So I was like, "All right, negotiations failed." And then they start to climb. Maybe they climbed the next day after negotiations. I'm trying to remember that. But I know that they started climbing early in the day. I know it took them like a full day to climb. From early in the day till like around about nighttime. Because at round about nighttime is when they got to the top of the tree. So when the cops are climbing for a person in a tree set, we called ourselves possums. We're already up there, right? So they need to get a rope up. But it's hard to get a rope up a tree if someone up there who doesn't want you to climb it is already up there, because we'll just mess with it, right? So what they have to do is basically there's a trunk of a tree that's a giant tree. It's like this tree's 55 meters tall, and it's really, really wide at the bottom. And they have no rope. So what they need to do is basically they use a piece of equipment called a pole belt, which they wrap around the girth of the trunk, and they have a climber on each side. And they start on ladders to get as high as they can because the bottom of the tree is so girthy. And basically what they need to do is start at the ladder. They have a pole belt and a climber on each side, and they basically have boots with spikes in them, and they shimmy up basically one little step at a time and help each other move their pole belts up. It's like a very excruciating way to climb a big tree. And these dudes, there's one dude in the search and rescue team, Paul Steen, who's actually pretty good, like technically, at what he does. But everybody else, it's like their second job. They're not really comfortable. And they might be comfortable normally, like rescuing someone like lost in the bush. But coming to fucking bust a blockade with these fanatical protest kids in these trees, like, it's not their comfort zone at all. They're not happy. And anyway, they start climbing this tree. I'm just watching them. I'm deciding what I'm going to do, basically. So, just technically speaking, if a police is climbing a tree to come and get you, but you're at the very top, if you have your rope over the top anchor in the tree, they can't technically arrest you because they need, like, leverage. Like, technically speaking, they need the leverage. But what they can do, if you abandon your tree sit and climb to the top of the tree, what they can do is destroy your tree sit, which is like your home. And it's fucking, obviously there's a lot of exposure in the middle of a fucking rainforest, at the top of a tree with no shelter. It's like very uncomfortable situation. So what they do, they climb up, you have to outclimb them so that they can arrest you. And then they get to your tree sit, which is like hanging basically off the trunk of the tree, and they'll just destroy it. But this dude, man, Paul Steen, he's the cowboy, man. He was getting yelled at from the beginning because it was already getting dark, and they wanted him to get down because they thought it was, too dangerous. And he's basically like it's actually quite hard to lower a tree sit down out of a big tree because shit always gets tangled up. There's like branches everywhere. The lean of the tree always affects the way something falls, and it always gets stuck basically. It always takes like at least 7 times longer than you expect to do something up a big tree. It's just kind of like the way it works. And this guy's impatient, and he basically gets the tree sit sideways, lowering down the tree, but then gets wedged in this big branch. And it's got all these ropes hanging off it, like everywhere, like it's a mess. And he's, with his rope on, obviously, he's climbs onto the tree sit and is like riding like a bucking bronco, trying to unwedge it, like bucking, trying to unwedge it from this fucking branch. And I'm like up there watching him like, what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, if that comes loose all of a sudden and one of those ropes gets stuck around your leg, you're fucking gonna die. It was a really crazy situation. But yeah. Oh, I should mention, when they first got up to the tree and they could first kind of make eye contact with me, I put a mask on my face. It was like a high-vis shirt that I cut like a slit in, so it was just my eyes. And it was starting to sleet. It was like, not quite snow, but all day it had been like cold rain. And it was like blowing down into them. So every time they tried to look up and talk to me, they were like, the cops were getting like bits of tiny frozen water, snow, ice shit in their eyes. And it's just one of those little bits of poetic justice that we take with us when we're getting fucked with by motherfuckers who want to destroy the earth for their fucking paycheck. But anyway, this dude tries to get my tree sit down. He can't. He climbs back up to try to convince me to get down. I just ignore him or just tell him to get fucked, basically. And then what he does is climb down the tree, and I have a bit of my rope still hanging down, like a loop, basically, hanging down where he can reach, which I just assume any climber, police or not, no one's ever going to fuck with your rope. But what he did was actually like tie my rope into the rigging of the tree, which was going to restrict my movement because I was basically operating off a loop of rope. So if you tie a big chunk of it static to something, then it's going to really restrict how you can move. And then what he did was tangle my rope into the whole rigging and then get another piece of rope from somewhere that looked like my climbing rope. It had like, my rope was I think a white rope with like red thread with red flecks in it, and he got a similar looking one but it had black flecks in it, and he actually, it was cut at both ends, and he actually tangled it all through my rope and the rigging rope to create like a bird's nest of chaos. And then basically he gets down and he's like pissed. He's kind of like emasculated. He's like, he's angry that he couldn't like do his job, basically, that this fucking little feral motherfucker just kind of outclimbed him and made him like impotent. So I think what he did was like do that, try to sabotage my shit so that he would need to get called back. But they packed up and they left. Where's my drink bottle? Knowing that I was up a tree, like probably hypothermic, in a situation that they'd just made much worse by tangling my rope up. Basically what I did was I climbed down as best as I could to the spot where he'd tangled my rope into the rigging, which was only like maybe 4 or 5 meters down from where I was. I still had enough slack basically to like get myself down there. And then my fucking head torch obviously was going flat, so what I had to do was take the batteries from the walkie-talkie that they'd sent me, and I put it in my head torch. And I like used the red light, and I was just like working on untangling this mess. There was a few moments of real panic, because when I saw the ends of the rope that he'd threaded into my rope, I thought he'd cut my rope, and I was like, fuck, like I'm really high up a tree, like 50 meters up a tree. If I don't have enough length to get down and I'm stuck up here and it's like freezing and I have no tree sit, like that's a real problem. yeah, it was definitely a moment of relief when I realized that that motherfucker had actually thread. I should have kept that piece of rope, man. That he'd thread like another piece of rope in there that was cut. But anyway, yeah, basically what I had to do was work out how to untangle all that shit, and then I basically decided that I had to try to escape. And what they'd done, because I couldn't really stay in a tree all night with no tree sit. And even if I did, the next day it's just the same again. Like, how many days can I do this? So basically I was trying to figure out a way to escape without getting arrested, because it had already been a really traumatic day watching motherfuckers log forests for, like, in front of me for a couple of days straight, and like sleeping badly, and then being in a tree all day with like almost snow, you know, and wind, and just being cold. I was ready to kind of tap out, but I didn't want to have to go get arrested. You know, I didn't want to have to go, like, have that bad day and then go be around police. They had this basically like mini prison, like police kind of station thing that they built in the forest, like fences and stuff, and this like prison bus thing. And I was like, I'm not going to go hang out in there. There's no way. So basically I was up this big tree at the top. The one thing that really kept me kind of like alive and safe all day was this really thick jacket that was up there. It was like a rubber jacket. When I had that on, really nothing passed through it. So even though it was really wet and cold, I wasn't really getting wind chill. So what I did was took that jacket off, and I rigged it into the tree so it looked like I was still up there, because they actually had like a spotlight that periodically they would be shining up to like keep an eye on me. Because I think they were kind of shocked. They were like, what is this motherfucker doing? Like, what's his plan? And basically what they had is I was out in this tree, and then at the base of the tree is kind of like a quite steep slope for maybe 10 meters. And then there was like the road that they'd bulldozed, and they had like a barrel of fire. And a police basically was doing laps from the barrel to the base of my tree up to the barrel, like consistently. And this is like a big thing that I learned about fighting the system, is like the system is a scary big bureaucratic mess, but at the end of the day it is enforced by individuals who often don't actually give a fuck, or even if they do give a fuck, they're bored. And the element of human error is huge when you're trying to like find a gap, basically. So basically what I did was I watched him, and he had basically a consistent pattern. So like having my jacket rigged up there to make it look like I was still up the tree, what I did was get as much gear as I could onto me. I had a spare rope that I rigged onto me, and I waited till he got to the base of my tree, and then I started abseiling down. And the first time I did it, I tried to do it with this weird knot called a muntersitch. I thought somehow that would be quieter, because I was worried when you normally abseil, you use a carabiner and a figure eight, and that can clank. And I was like, man, if these cunts hear me, I'm done. So I did try use a muntersitch to abseil down, which was a bad idea. It actually just, as anyone will know that's used a muntersitch or an Italian hitch, it just twists the whole rope. So if you've got a lot of rope underneath you, it just makes like a massive fucking death trap, basically. Not a death trap, but like just a kind of like a tangle. So I did it one time and it didn't work, and I was like, shit, fuck. Went up again for a bit, changed my setup really quietly, like arranged my figure eight and my carabiner so I could abseil properly. Waited again for him to be at the base of the tree and be leaving the base of the tree, and just like one of those moments where you don't know if you're going to be successful or not, but what you do know is that if you hesitate, you've got a less chance, basically. So I was like, once I'm going, I'm just going. And I just abseiled down, I have my Pro-6 obviously, like getting down, and it's a very trippy thing. Even being up a tree for a few days, getting back onto the ground is a strange transition. You're too kind of become a tree person. Climbing and like the way that physics operates on the end of a rope, you adjust to that quite quickly. So getting back to just walking is kind of weird at the most normal of times. But this was also a situation where I knew there was a police like within 5 meters, probably 5 to 10 meters, that didn't know I was there yet, but if he did, he was going to try grab me. And I basically got to the ground. It was like a really trippy night because it was like a full moon, but there was full overcast clouds. So it kind of like lit up. It kind of was like a giant, like, I don't know, it lit up and there was heaps of mushrooms, heaps of fungi on the ground, and they kind of were like glowing. It was like this trippy evanescent, like, it was like completely sober, but it really felt like a mystical wonderland. Plus I was like getting like, I felt like I was in that movie Great Escape. I don't know if you've seen that movie Great Escape. I think it's about World War II and they escaping from a prison camp. And there's a scene where they tunnel out, and when they get to the end of the tunnel, they have to run to the tree line. A lot of my brain was like kind of drawing strength and referring culturally to that. I don't know, maybe my ancestors were in that situation. I don't know, but that's how it felt. Anyway, I got to the ground. It was kind of trippy. I had the end of my rope tied to me so that it didn't hit the ground before I got to the ground, so it didn't give me away. And I forgot about that. So as soon as I hit the ground and I disconnected my figure eight, I think I put the figure eight in my pocket so it wasn't going to clank with the carabiner. When I did that, I forgot, and I just started walking, like I had a plan basically to go see the back tree and then to leave, because I figured they were going to cut these trees down. This would probably be my last chance to see them. And yeah, the rope was still tied to me. So I was like kind of in not a panic, but like feeling kind of hectic. And I was like, what the fuck? What's like stopping me? And I'd see the like 3 half hitches I'd tied. And it was definitely like a slow-mo experience where I was like undid these 3 half hitches and just grabbed the rope and threw it, try to as much in the other direction as I could, you know, because I was like, nah, motherfucker, there's a fucking rope leading to where I'm going to. And worried that I would get caught, I basically just gave up on all my other plans and just thought, if I just get lost right now, it's going to be hard to find me. And I basically just found a log of a giant tree on the ground. And, you know, there's like a gap under the log, and I just went and found that log and just lay under it for maybe like 10 or 15 minutes. Just disappeared. And around about then is when the police started discovering that I wasn't up there. And they had given me that walkie-talkie because they were worried that I could become hypothermic. There was actually the Red Cross there that was checking on the walkie-talkie for me. So the fact that I'd taken the batteries out of the walkie-talkie and that they couldn't contact me, and they were probably trying to spotlight me and maybe realizing that I wasn't really up there by now. Oh yeah, because the rope's on the ground. They would have known. They started to get annoyed. They were like searching around. You could see them walking around with their all the forest activists always have like head torches with like fucked out batteries basically. And the cops have torches that they hold at their hip, and they always have really fresh batteries. So you could basically see them like kind of as they were coming over a crest. You just see like this flood of light, which made it pretty easy to avoid them. It's one of those funny things where like the Empire thinks that they can use this good technology to like fool us, but really we're just fucking living in the darkness anyway. Anyway, they're searching around for me for ages. I managed to basically like follow the track as best as I can, and every time I see them like coming close, every time I see their kind of flood of light, I just go and get lost. I just go like find a log and like lie under it for like a long period of time until they're definitely past. So like in my mind, it's like I'm not giving these guys any chance to find me. Like they don't have any chance to find me. Anytime that they anywhere close, I'm going to be invisible. And basically, after a while, I got close to like where the Lungs of the Land track, which is basically the track I was following, met Tim's track. And on Tim's track, there were a couple of friends of mine that were like on the track, kind of like trying to like let me know that they were there. And even though they were making like stupid jokes, and I knew that they weren't cops, my brain didn't trust it. I was like, that could be the cops pretending that they're my friends. I think I got a lot of trauma from that night, because it was like I was really like getting chased through the forest. And also the police on the megaphones, they were like pretending that they were concerned. They were like, come on, Possum, we just want to make sure that you're safe. It's like, just like fucked up manipulative language that is like psychological kind of torture in a weird way. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, it's the same as when you're like locked onto something and they're like, oh, just move your hand a little bit, I don't know. But anyway, like I eventually, like, I'm hiding basically, and then I see Nana Sess, who's just silently standing, who's like an old school forest activist that's been working with us for probably like a year or something at that point, or a few months at least. And she's just silently standing there, and for some reason I just see her silhouette. Like, it's dark, but you can just see a slight like darker silhouette than the background. And I just was like, the first time I made a sound in like ages, I was like, gooey. And she was like, Possum, and like gave me the lowdown basically. And basically the cops had told her that they were just upset that I'd taken the walkie-talkie, and if I give them back the batteries for that, then they'll stop looking for me. Which is obviously a lie, but also whatever. I gave her the batteries and the walkie-talkie, and she like took them back. And then basically I just found somewhere to sleep for the night because I was tired. And we actually slept really close to the car park, which is funny because in the morning the police knew that we had some kind of like secret camps in the bush a fair bit, like up Tim's track and like off some kind of like wallaby tracks basically. And they knew those camps were there, and there were random people, like random forest kids sleeping in there. And in the morning, after they'd acted like they wouldn't look for me anymore once I gave the shit back, in the morning they're like just randomly opening dudes' tents, like looking for me. And when we found out that was happening, it was funny because we were so close to them. We were like right under their nose, and basically some dudes figured out found a car basically we could use, and got it all ready. And then like I had to make this little dash basically from like behind this little mound behind the car park to into the car without getting seen by cops. And we got in there, and I got in the car and we drove off, and we didn't get followed. And yeah, basically that's the story of my track May 09. It's one of those things that I'm really grateful to Dan for helping me get the track out and like making it a nice hip hop song, because it's one of those events in my life that really affected my worldview basically, really like showed me the world for what it is, and also showed me that like if you're cunning enough, no matter what the odds, you can pull some shit off and you can get away. You don't have to like go get arrested. You don't have to like follow the mold of how things are supposed to go. Generally when people do tree sit actions, they get arrested because you're in a tree. Like, you can't get away, you're in a tree. But you never know, right? If you push the boundaries and you surprise people, you kind of like you kind of operate outside of people's assumptions, then there's really no telling what you can achieve. And I want the song to be out there because it's a big part of my life and it's a story, but also as a message for that. Like, the rules are just there to be broken. Like, they're just there. But you can do whatever you want to do if you think it's important, like I was fanatical about saving that forest. There was nothing that I wasn't going to do within my power that I wasn't going to do, you know? And I am proud of that part of my life, but also what I really want for myself and for the world is for people to use that sort of power and determination for their own lives. Because I think that a lot of the world's problems will be nullified if everyone was just living in their truth with that true determination, like that like kind of aggression to fight for something, whether it be like a personal goal or a social justice issue. So yeah, I'm keen to hear what you all think. Feel free to comment in the comment section below about anything you think about the story. What I'm going to do now is just play the song basically, and I might stop a few times and talk some shit, but I'll try to just play the track. See if this works.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, let's tell a story. Yeah. Here's a little story that must be told of one young brother up a tree so old, trying to stop this place, be erased and sold. Police outpace, the spots him too bold. I'ma break the mold, so listen in to how the story unfold. Yeah. May 09, Upper Florentine. Police come to bust us up, bring harm. Extended arm of the forestry fools. Conclusion foregone, we stand to lose it all. Road eroded by the truckload, clear fell in old growth where nothing's ever been before. 3 tree sitters in a cruel game, no rules. Possum is the name, we all called to stool. Cold money machine, in a tree on a lean, 16 meters tall. I'm the last human being on the scene, or so it seems. Blockading the bulldozer brawl. No justice when the law does the harm. On the land for the oxygen in our lungs. Once so calm, now sound the alarm. Pull up your rope, yo, lock on your arm. Here's a little story that must be told of one young brother up a tree so old, trying to stop this place, be erased and sold. Police outpace, the spots him too bold. I'ma break the mold, so listen in to how the story unfolds. Kick us out of the bush, we'll learn to climb your building. Stronger, smarter, more determined. You're cutting down the trees, then you're burning it. Bucket, collapse, relapse in the forest furnace. So forget your job, this tree's not your log. So I'ma sit in this tree for the mother Upper Florentine. Owns me, it's not mine, so shut the fuck up, son of a swine. You can't change my mind, if you trespass fine. Must be blind, sign of the times. Yous are the ones who's doing the crime. Here's a little story that must be told of one young brother up a tree so old, trying to stop this place, be erased and sold. Police outpace, the spots him too bold. I'ma break the mold, so listen in to how the story unfold.
Yo, check it out, motherfucker. Yeah.
Subtlety the key, using car batteries from walkie-talkies to negotiate. Needless to say, now I need to escape. Chances are tight, red light stealth at night. If I try, might get away free tonight. Forced to retreat, forced to fear. I know you're after me, but I'm stronger when I'm scared. Dodging searchlights, mentally prepared, keeping calm, soft steps, finding freedom. I'm doing my best on the track like the back of my hand. Yeah, falling through your fingers like sand. I'ma get away for another day to take my stand. Yeah. I was born for this fight, so tired but inspired by spite. Hypothermic now when I abseil down under the cover of cloud. Full moon bright, made the forest floor glow that night. If I try, might get away free tonight.
Please come back. We just want to make sure that you're safe.
Megaphone sound resonating from portable police compound. When they found the got down, keeping close to the ground. Don't wanna get bound by them fucking bloodhounds for the corrupt crown. Lying under logs, analyze every sound. That's why when I'm in town, still survey my surrounds. Hyper vigilant, mentally staying weary, till I see their silhouette standing stationary onto this track. Still cautious, but I had to see. Nana says, giving me the update, like Godspeed, good luck, mate.
Alright.
Not home free, need to retreat someplace safe to sleep. Next day, cops got hot on the scent. Now they're searching sleeping tents. To their dismay, it's the place where I picked to stay. I plan to get the car, make it get away. Adrenaline always pumping through my veins, trying to calculate, would we face a chase? All I know is I need to leave this place. To deceive the pigs, I got no time to waste. Apply patience, traveling slow. Finally driving in, I'm leaning down low. What do you know, we got over the ridge. Next thing you know, we crossed the Derwent Bridge. Successfully escaping from the pigs. Escaping from the pigs. Escaping from the pigs.
Yo, oh shit, are they following
Escaping
us?
from the pigs.
No, they didn't see
Escaping from
us.
the pigs.
Oh shit, they're gonna be
Yeah.
pissed.
Here's a little story that must be told of one young brother up a tree so old, trying to stop this place, be erased and sold. Police outpace, the spots him too bold.
Oh, that's me.
I'ma break the mold, so listen in to how the story unfolds.
Yeah. Yo, thank you very much for your time and for engaging in this piece of content that I made, story time with RAD. I'm hopefully going to do a few more of these about different tracks from Goodiebag the mixtape. And if you're in Melbourne City, don't forget this Saturday, Goodiebag Fest launch party for Goodiebag the mixtape, featuring a fucking whole swag load of the dopest artists in Melbourne City. It's a warehouse party in Coburg. There's a Facebook group which I'll link to this video. Be great to see you there. Starting from around about 7 o'clock with music and going to midnight and beyond. We're having Mexican food. My housemate Javier is going to make some food. It's going to be a mad party, a renaissance, if you will, a celebration of life after surviving fucking over 2 years of lockdowns in Melbourne City and still being productive and making some dope shit. So I hope to see you there. Stay blessed. This is D-Rad MC with the song Breakdowns.
Yeah.